What's going on, everybody? It's Q Jackson, host of BLK Talk. Look, I was over here preparing for another amazing episode, but look, I need you guys to go ahead and hit the subscribe button, the like button, and the notification bell so that you guys don't miss any of our amazing conversations. Have a new episode coming to you in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What's going on, everybody? It's Q Jackson, host of BLK Talk. Today, I have a special guest, as I always do, and it's very special because he is connected to something that is dear to my heart and hopefully a lot of your hearts, and we're going to learn why he got into what he's into and how you can become more involved. Today's special guest, we have Darian Aaron, who is the director of local news, U.S. South, at GLAAD.
You got it.
Welcome to BLK Talk.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely. So I followed you for a while. You've been doing some amazing things in the community.
Thank you.
The LGBTQIA plus
all of them
and plus community. And recently, maybe about a month and a half or so ago, you guys had an event down here in Atlanta with GLAAD that unfortunately I wasn't able to make it to. But how was the event?
It was absolutely incredible. You're referring to GLAAD Down South, which is a community media event that I founded last year, actually, as a way to really amplify the work that GLAAD is doing here in the South. In my role, I develop original stories about LGBTQ people of color, and people living with HIV in the South. So GLAAD Down South is really an opportunity to bring together reporters, community advocates, and content creators and social media influencers to really witness the growing quantity and quality of the work that we're doing at GLAAD.
You see why I should have been there, guys. You see why I should have been there. I won't miss it next year. But for people who may be unfamiliar with you, let them know a little bit about who you are and how you got your start in advocacy, LGBTQIA plus work.
Oh, so you want story time?
Story time.
Right now. Okay, so I'm a journalist at heart. I'm a storyteller, and I've been doing this work for a little over 20 years now. I initially started as a blogger. A blogger was someone that was really popular in the early 2000s, believe it or not, when people were actually reading blogs online. There was this whole black queer blog explosion in the early 2000s, and I was one of the bloggers at the forefront of that movement. It was myself, Rod McCullum of Rod 2.0, Clay Kane, who now has a Sirius XM radio show, and a few others that were consistently doing the work of blogging and really talking about our community on a consistent basis. And so I started in 2006 with blogging. That led to magazine opportunities. I was a staff writer with Click magazine. I'm aging myself now.
Okay.
Most people may not even be familiar with Click. But it was a monthly magazine that was founded by Dwight Powell, who actually founded Sizzle, a circuit party in Miami that's no longer around, or maybe it has come back, I'm not sure. And so that led to a staff writing position with Click, and then that led to other opportunities. I started writing for other online sites like the Huffington Post. I was one of the first black queer men to appear in Ebony magazine, telling my story, and so it was a snowball effect. And at some point, I decided to go back to school and get my degree in journalism. I graduated from Alabama State University. I'm an HBCU alum, and from there, I really just started getting serious about the craft and working in journalism full time. The first African American editor-in-chief of the Georgia Voice here in Atlanta, which is now Rough Draft Atlanta. And I was the communications director and editor of The Reckoning with the Counter Narrative Project, a black queer nonprofit here in Atlanta. From that job, it led me to contracting with GLAAD, covering the Mpox outbreak, and now I'm full-time, and I've been with GLAAD for 2.5 years.
Wow. So now let's talk about GLAAD.
Okay.
People who may be unfamiliar with GLAAD, what is that?
Most people probably know GLAAD as our former name, which was the Gay and Lesbian Alliance Against Defamation. We no longer use that title. We just go by the acronym GLAAD. And GLAAD was founded in the early 80s at the height of the HIV/AIDS epidemic. And GLAAD is pretty much a watchdog group for the media. But not only do we do that, we do work to make sure that our stories are included, that media coverage is fair and accurate. And so that's basically what we do as an organization and have been doing for 40 years now. We're celebrating our 40th anniversary in the fall.
Oh, so you know there's going to be a party.
Oh yeah, a big one in New York.
Oh, okay. See, maybe I need to cancel my plane ticket tomorrow and save it for then.
Mm-hmm.
But for you, how important is it to not only have a voice, but to give a voice to people who are often unheard?
Oh my God, that's a really great question. It's extremely important. It's actually why I do this work, because I understand that it's hard for Black queer men in particular to be out, to be visible, and it's not safe for all of us to be out and visible. And so for those who have yet to find their voice, because we all have one, and we all are capable of utilizing our voices, but if you're not in a position to do so, I don't mind being that mouthpiece. I don't mind taking the slings and arrows that come along with being out and visible. I've been out since I was 16 years old. Being closeted was just never an option for me. And it wasn't because I was just this flamboyant queen, like you knew immediately that I was queer. I just knew that on the other side of that fear, that freedom and liberation was there. And I wanted it so desperately. I cannot imagine going through this life pretending to be somebody that I'm not, because that's just so much extra work that you have to put into living a lie. And I'm just not willing to do that. And so I've been all about inspiring folks to live their authentic self through my writing, through my speaking publicly. And so if I've inspired anybody to step out of the shadows and walk in their truth, then it's all worth it.
So when I think about community, the LGBTQIA plus community, here in Atlanta and a lot of other cities, unfortunately, it's kind of divided because there's the Black LGBT community who focuses on one thing and gets sponsorships and support from their area, but then you have white Latinos, things like that, who are on this side, and although they come together on some occasions, it's still very divided. So with you working for GLAAD and doing everything that you've done with every outlet and publication, you've had the opportunity to see the community from both sides.
Absolutely.
And I'm assuming you've gotten the opportunity to hear from both sides.
Absolutely.
So for you, where do you think the major divide is between the communities?
So I will say that the divide and the segregation that exists between the Black, white, Latin communities is not specific to Atlanta. You see it in many different communities, in many different cities across the country. It's a cultural issue. I will say that the Black queer community, Black trans community, has needs and experiences systemic racism, whereas other communities do not. And so I often get the question, well, why do you have two separate prides? It's such an early 90s question, and it's so frustrating when I hear it today, because the issues that we deal with as Black queer men, Black, queer, lesbian, trans folks, the white queer community don't deal with the same issues. They don't have the same challenges and hurdles that we have, even in terms of just coming out to our families. Like, that is a huge risk that a lot of Black folks have to take by being out, by being visible. I can use, for an example, the Black church, which is a spiritual foundation for us as Black people, regardless of your sexual orientation or gender identity. But it's also a community hub. It's a source of support that a lot of Black queer folks fear losing by coming out. So they're taking a lot of risk by doing so. And to be honest, it's a risk that a lot of white queer folks don't even have to take into consideration when they're thinking about coming out.
And now, given what's going on in the current climate of our country, we have Latin people who are dealing with a lot of things, deportation, and a lot of the things that we Black people have, dealt with for years. There's always been a fight, and it's like Black people have always been a part of that fight. But now they're seeing things from, I would say, our lens. So for us, there are a lot of people who are on the fence about, how Black people should react to what's going on. A lot of mostly Latinos are feeling that black people should come to their aid because we know how it is, so we can help them fight through it. Then there are a lot of black people that say, hey, when it came to us, you guys were silent. You know, although you're Latin, you didn't feel like you were part of the struggle. So they feel like, hey, if you help us, then, you know, we'll love you more, I guess, if that makes sense. But like for you, how do you feel about that whole thing?
Oh, you're trying to get me in trouble, aren't you?
You know what?
I'm going to keep this brief. I will say this. We are stronger together. Let me lead with that. We are stronger together. I will also say that colorism and anti-blackness exists in every community, and the Latin A community and the white community are not immune to anti-blackness and colorism. And so these are issues that we all need to address. We need to have a roundtable discussion, and we need to bring the Black and the Latinx communities together to discuss it, because it is an old wound and the Band-Aid has been ripped off by what we're experiencing right now in this country. I will also say that if Black people want to rest, if Black people want to sit this one out, they have every right to do so. We have been on the front lines fighting for everybody's rights since the Civil Rights Movement, okay? And we have provided the blueprint for what the Latin A community is experiencing right now. Those No Kings protests that happened a couple of weeks ago, and millions of people across the country came out for it. Bravo. We applaud you. I watched from my living room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. You are very knowledgeable about just like everything. And what motivates you?
To be completely transparent, it is the fear of being mediocre. Not even the fear of failure, because I think even in my failures, there was a lesson there that I was supposed to learn. So that's the thing that drives me. I always want to be better than I was the day before. Yeah. I always want to continue to find that great story, to amplify our stories. I was doing it before it was in vogue. I was doing it before the top editors and newsrooms across the country deemed our stories newsworthy. I was reporting our stories independently, and I continue to do that. I continue to uplift Black queer love, because there's not enough images of us loving each other in the media. So often when you see Black queer men in media, you see someone of another race on our arms, and it sends a very dangerous message, I think, to Black queer men in particular, that we are not good enough to love each other. That if you want a successful relationship, you have to go outside of your race, and that's simply not true. I'm a living example of that. My husband and I, who happens to be a Black man, we are a living example that we do indeed love each other.
I love, and I love that you guys love one another.
Yeah.
So for you, when you look at the evolution of like the experiences of the LGBT community as a whole, where we've come from, where we are, and where we're going, what do you see? What do you see occurring over the next few, decades?
I wish I could look into the crystal ball and answer that question. But the first thing that comes to mind is that with visibility often comes backlash. And I think we're experiencing that right now. We have a dictator-in-chief, twice impeached, 34 times convicted felon, accused rapist in office, who is making life hell for anybody that is not straight, white, Christian, and male. And he's not even Christian. Let's be clear. He's not Christian. He's cosplaying as a Christian. And those hateful so-called Christians are falling right in line, and they're supporting him and making life hell for people of color, for LGBTQ people, for people living with HIV, and especially for trans people. And so we're going to have to find our way back to sanity. We're going to have to find our way back to acknowledging the humanity of every single person. Every single person, regardless of race, sexual orientation, gender identity, deserves to live in abundance, deserves to thrive. We are all Americans. And so what I'm witnessing is just an administration who is turning folks against each other when we really should be rallying and supporting each other. And honestly, marriage equality is on the line too right now. We're taping this as we're celebrating the 10-year anniversary of the Supreme Court decision that granted marriage equality. And now we have organizations like the Southern Baptist Convention who have just unanimously voted to overturn that ruling, to petition the Supreme Court to overturn that ruling. So that's what we're up against right now. And I will just go on the record and say, if they think for 1 minute that my husband and I are gonna not go down without a fight for our right to be married, they have another thing coming.
How long have you guys been married?
It'll be a year in October, but we've been together for 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love it. So for the people out there who are not a part of community, who are part of, they know that they're LGBTQ, IA+, but they don't necessarily get involved in the prides. They don't get involved in the different events that come, to whatever city that they live in.
Yeah.
To those people who are sitting home alone watching, their local news station, seeing all of this stuff that's going on, and they're dealing with all of this stuff by themselves.
Yeah.
What would you tell them as far as the importance or the benefit of getting out and finding a community that they can be a part of so that they don't have to deal with this by themselves?
Yeah, it's so important to have support. And not everybody has to go to Pride. I think it's an incredible opportunity to be connected with like-minded people who just get you.
Yeah.
They understand you. I'm at an age now where I feel like I've aged out of Pride.
Yeah.
If I'm being quite honest, I've done it. I did it. I enjoyed it. But I'm much more comfortable now at this stage in my life being at a really nice dinner party around other Black queer men who get me.
Yeah.
But you don't necessarily have to go outside, although I recommend it. You can find support and community online. That's thing
true.
that you hold in your hand nonstop every day, that little computer in your hand is a source of community. It's a way to connect to people. So I would encourage people to find groups online, Facebook groups, or whatever it is, to connect with other people with similar lived experience.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for you, on a personal note, what do you look forward to accomplishing that you have not already done? What can people look forward to from you?
Oh, well, in the immediate future, I am moderating a panel at the National Lesbian and Gay Journalists Association, which will be in Atlanta this year, September 4th through the 7th. And that panel discussion that I'll be moderating will be about Black LGBTQ voices in the South and reporting our stories through a specific cultural lens. And so I'll be having that conversation with some really great Black queer reporters and editors at the convention. So that's one thing in the immediate future. But I'm also planning something that I'm really excited about, and it is a partnership with GLAAD, who also partnered with me to do GLAAD Down South this past May. We're doing Generation Z and HIV, Human Issue, Southern Solution, an HBCU tour. And it's really,
I like
that.
that.
Yeah, and it's really an opportunity to bridge the gap, because Generation Z is not where it needs to be in terms of their HIV knowledge. So often I come in contact with young people who still don't know that HIV is a threat in Black communities. And so it's the PrEP conversation, talking to them about ways that they can prevent being infected with HIV. PrEP is a powerful tool. Now we have injectable PrEP that you can only take twice a year. You go into your physician's office and you get a shot, and it protects you against acquiring HIV. And so we're going to have all those conversations with some really incredible people. I have a very interactive, engaging, fun program that I'm developing because HIV tends to be a really heavy topic.
Yes.
And it can be challenging sometimes to get folks in the room when they know it's going to be an HIV discussion.
Oh, yeah.
So this tour is going to be completely different. I don't think people are going to expect what I have going down. So it's going to happen this fall, and I'm really excited.
So you make sure that you guys are paying attention and supporting and following so that you can be a part of it and that you can help amplify what is going on, the efforts in the community. Now, you're out here doing some amazing things. Like,
I'm tired.
With
Child, I'm
GLAAD,
tired.
with everything that you're doing, like, what do you do on a normal day to kind of center yourself, keep yourself calm, and keep yourself motivated?
Okay, so I'm working on exercising self-care. I haven't always done the best job at that. I try to go to the gym as much as I possibly can. I listen to music a lot. Anyone who knows me knows I'm a huge Janet Jackson fan.
Okay.
She is my diva.
Okay, Janet.
And so it's lots of Janet, lots of Brandy.
So I know you'll be at the Brandy and Monica tour.
Front and center, yes. I've never seen Brandy live, so I'm so excited about this.
I have. I've seen her at Essence Fest. She was right here in my face. She was amazing.
When I tell you I have met every celebrity on earth that I've ever wanted to meet, I have never come in contact with Brandy.
Ooh.
Never, so I'm really excited.
You should have hung with me in the early 2010s.
Oh my God.
I was seeing Brandy every few weeks.
Yeah.
She was in Atlanta a lot at some point.
Yeah.
But
so I'm looking forward to this tour. So yeah, that's how I kind of unwind.
Ooh, I have an idea. We'll talk about it later.
Okay.
We'll talk about it when we're not rolling. But is there anything else that you would like to share with the people, not only about GLAAD, but about yourself? Some encouraging words to the people out here.
Sure. If I were to say anything, I would just say, honor your story, tell your story. Storytelling is so powerful. It really does have a unique ability to shift culture, change hearts and minds, and accelerate acceptance for Black LGBTQ people. So if you ever have an opportunity to share your story, please do so on whatever platform you feel most comfortable. Even reach out to me. That's what I specialize in. That's what I do. I'm always looking for brilliant stories of Black queer people to amplify. So your story has power. Share it.
And how can they get in contact with you?
You can contact me on every social media platform under Darian Out Loud. So that's my name on all the platforms.
And make sure you guys utilize that, okay? When there are resources available, we need to use them. Mm-hmm. But I thank you so much for joining me today. I thank you for sharing everything that you have shared. You have encouraged me to want to be a part of more things.
Oh, good.
To continue to amplify not only my voice, but the voices of other people. And I look forward to everything that you have coming up, and I can't wait to tell you what I was just thinking later on.
I can't wait to hear it.
Yes, and thank you guys for tuning in to BLK Talk. We'll be back with another amazing episode very, very soon.